Meeta for giving us your icebreaker. And contrary to popular belief, people do not spontaneously combust when they get up to speak. You didn't pass out. Before I get into the points of the evaluation, I want to sort of point out a parity between the two of us when I first started Toastmasters to when you first started Toastmasters. And there are similarities there. You were very confident when you came up here. You may not have felt it at first, but the fact that you're able to use a little bit of self-deprecating humor was very good, and the fact that you stood up here and you owned your space. You were up here speaking. You weren't worried, are we going to listen or whatever. You gave your speech, which is exactly what you're supposed to do. So there's 7 sort of criteria that is in the icebreaker speech that we should cover. The first one is the strong points, and I actually want to hold on to that one. The second one is how well did we get to know the speaker? Because that's the main job of this speech, is for us to get to know you personally, as well as for your evaluator and maybe a mentor to get to know you at a speaking skill level. That's the primary reason you're here right now. So how well did we get to know her? I think we got to know her pretty well. We got to know your history. We got to know about your family. We got to know about your kids. And all the stuff that you do. We didn't hear a lot about what your husband does, so I'm trying to figure out what he does. Because it's like, I was like, okay, you got to get the kids, you got to make dinner, you got to clean, you got to do this. I'm like, what's he doing?
He's helping out.
He's staying out of the way so he doesn't mess it up. No. Did it reflect adequate preparation? Absolutely. You spent some time thinking about what you wanted to tell us about yourself. It wasn't simply, well, I guess there's this aspect and there's this. No, you actually thought, okay, I want to talk about my role model. You told us about your grandmother, how education was important to her. She instilled that in you and your sister. Did you speak clearly and audibly? Absolutely, no problem. I'm the farthest person away, no problem hearing you back there. Audibly, perfectly fine. You didn't mumble, you didn't whisper. 2 things, but this is a great thing about joining Toastmasters, because these are things that it's designed to work on. One is a little monotone, but that comes with experience, being able to put inflection in your voice, sometimes using power and sometimes not. The other thing, and we see this quite often, is, for lack of a better term, a second language slip. One was you were referring to, your grandmother was referring to you and your sister's education, and I almost thought it should have been educations, because it's referring to the both of you, whatever career, whatever path you're going to take. The other one was every day of the life, as opposed to say every day in my life, or every day in our lives. Was there a definite opening, body, and conclusion? Definite opening, especially when you said that you want to tell about your grandmother or something like that. It's a great way to start a speech, is having some sort of motivational thing. Or even your joke right at the beginning, slipping a joke in about whether or not you're going to pass out. So hopefully, Bob, you're ready to catch her. Not that it was needed. The one thing, and this is where a lot of people have a problem with, is the conclusion. You had a great opening. You told us about these things in the body. But when it came to the conclusion, it really needs to pull everything together. Sort of in the beginning when you're saying, this is what I want to talk about, then you come at the end and say, this is what I talked about, this is what I want you to remember. And sometimes with a closing point, something that really wraps it up. You did use notes. Ironically, icebreaker is about you. Everybody does it though. Everybody uses notes, because it's the one thing we're all experts on, but we always bring our notes up whenever we go to give our icebreaker. Don't worry about it. Keep using notes. As long as you feel you need to, go ahead and keep bringing them up. And was the speech well liked? I absolutely think so. I enjoyed it. It was great hearing about you. It was great having the opportunity to laugh as you interjected humor in there. So I'm looking forward to some great speeches in your future. Thank you. My turn?